The Temple of Hephaestus is a temple to the Greek god Hephaestus, as well as his sister, the goddess Athena, in the Ancient Agora of Athens. Its construction began in the mid-5th century BC, during the so-called Golden Age of Athens. The temple was part of Athenian statesman Pericles' reconstruction of Athens following its destruction during the Second Persian invasion of Greece. It took several decades to complete the Temple of Hephaestus, as resources were frequently diverted towards the construction of the Parthenon, which was ongoing at the same time. The remains of the temple are in surprisingly good condition, which is unusual since many ancient structures often have their materials repurposed for other construction projects, fall into disrepair, or demolished to make way for other buildings. The preservation of the temple can be attributed to the fact that it was converted into a Byzantine church in 700 AD, dedicated to St. George, which protected it from demolition and allowed for periodic repairs. The last Christian Mass at the temple took place in 1833. Hephaestus is the god of artisans, blacksmiths, carpenters, craftsmen, fire, metallurgy, sculpture, and volcanoes. Although we refer to this structure as the Temple of Hephaestus, it was also dedicated to Athena as well. An excerpt from the book Description of Greece by the ancient Greek travel writer and geographer Pausanias notes the presence of Athena at the Temple of Hephaestus. Above the Ceramicus and the portico, called the King's Portico, is a Temple of Hephaestus. I was not surprised that by it stands a statue of Athena, because I knew the story about Erichthonius. Although we typically describe Athena as the goddess of war and wisdom, she was also the goddess of handicrafts and pottery. So a combined temple to both Hephaestus and Athena would have included many of the trades critical for Athenian daily life, and it should come as no surprise that it was built adjacent to the Agora, where a marketplace would have been located. The Agora would have had a high number of craftspeople, potters, and metalworkers to support a temple to both Hephaestus and Athena. The association between Hephaestus and Athena doesn't end with their shared purview as god and goddess of tradespeople. If we refer back to the quote by Pausanias, we see the statement that he knew the story about Erichthonius. In fact, the mythology of Hephaestus and Athena is at the heart of ancient Athenian identity. The myth states that the goddess Athena decides to visit the smithing god Hephaestus one day in order to have some weaponry made. Overcome by lust, Hephaestus attempts to rape Athena but is fought off. Athena wipes away some semen that lands on her thigh with a wool cloth which she throws upon the earth. Upon hitting the ground, the semen mixes with the earth mother goddess Gaia and gives birth to the serpent-like child Erichthonius, who later goes on to become a legendary king of Athens. Although Hephaestus is often associated with the hammer and anvil, his other well-known characteristic is described by Hephaestus himself in Homer's Odyssey. I am a cripple from my birth. In Homer's Iliad it notes, Hephaestus took the huge blower off from the block of the anvil limping, and yet his shrunken legs moved lightly beneath him. In this 6th century BC depiction of Hephaestus, he is shown riding a donkey, presumably due to a physical deformity of the feet. This depiction suggests the possibility of clubfoot, talipes equinovarus, which is a fairly common congenital deformity of the lower extremities. Hephaestus as a god is quite different from the other gods and goddesses of the Greek Pantheon. Whereas the other gods are often depicted as exemplary models of the human form living somewhat carefree lives, Hephaestus is the opposite, with his physical deformity along with a well-defined and familiar job as a blacksmith. He is well known for making Achilles' armor, Hermes' winged helmet, and Eros' bow and arrow. In addition to dealing with his physical limitations, Hephaestus has to contend with deep emotional wounds as well. For example, his mother Hera spurns him because of his physical deformity and casts him out of Olympus. To make matters worse, his father Zeus does not intervene on his behalf. Another story details how his brother, the god Ares, had an affair with his wife Aphrodite. Ares made Aphrodite many presents and defiled King Hephaestus' marriage bed, so the sun, who saw what they were about, told Hephaestus. The contrast between Ares and Hephaestus is immediately apparent. Here we have the perfect physical specimen of Ares, the god of war, compared to his sibling Hephaestus with his physical deformity. Furthermore, Ares wasn't cast out of Olympus by his parents, unlike Hephaestus, an early mythological example of sibling rivalry. Of all the Greek gods, Hephaestus' life is among the most relatable. Despite his physical deformity, he achieves great success and is hailed for crafting many legendary items. Yet, despite Hephaestus' professional success, his two great love interests, Aphrodite and Athena, reject him. Instead of accepting that he had an uncaring mother or love interest who showed no romantic inclination towards him, he instead opts for revenge. He gets his revenge on his uncaring mother by constructing a magic and golden throne that entraps her and prevents her from standing up. He gets his revenge on his brother and wife by ensnaring the naked Ares and his adulterous wife Aphrodite in an unbreakable metal net while in bed together. The myth of Hephaestus illustrates not only an accomplished god, but a god with the confidence to exact calculating revenge, unperturbed by his physical deformity. Hephaestus serves as a clear cautionary tale to not underestimate a person due to their outward appearance, a valuable lesson as old as time. When my proud mother hurled me from the sky, my awkward form, it seems, displeased her eye. She and Eurynomy my griefs redressed, and soft received me on their silver breast. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and check out my other videos on ancient Greece.